So we talked about Jimmy Butler before, and it seems like Golden State, we're taping this, it's 6 o'clock Pacific time right now, Thursday. Seems like Golden State's going to be the team if there's a move, unless there's some surprise out of nowhere team. And I was looking at possible trades, and I think Wiggins has to be in it because there's got to be some sort of fat salary, and it's either Wiggins or Draymond. I just don't think they're going to trade Draymond. I just think that's Steph's guy. That's just like he's over here. You can't touch him. But it would have to be Wiggins. I think it has to be Schroeder because he's an expiring. And then there's a Kuminga piece to it where Kuminga, if Golden State doesn't want to pay him, and it could potentially be Wiggins, Kuminga, and Schroeder, and maybe like whatever else little small thing needs to come in. So there's two separate questions here. Is that a lot to give up for a guy who's been unhappy for a year?
Yeah.
And then also, if you're Miami, you might actually be pretty good down the stretch if you turn a guy who's not really playing at all into Wiggins, who's looked really good the last couple of weeks and most of the season. Kuminga coming off the bench, and then Schroeder at point guard.
It's a lot. I just think it's a lot. I think Jonathan Kuminga could be the next Butler. Who knows? I think he's just that good. I just think he's raw still. I think he sometimes gets out of character of what he is at this present moment. But
would you pay him? Because you're going to have to pay him next summer. So what's he worth?
Yes, I think he's that good, man. I do.
Wow.
I think think about it, from how he's had to evolve as a player, like with Steph and Clay. You're not taking shots early in the shot clock. You're not trying to dribble it up on the break and be creative. You couldn't do all of that. You can get a little bit of it done now because Clay's not there. But just based on what I've seen from him this year, I just don't think they want to give him up. And if they do, I think it's going to pay a price because Butler's 3 years, maybe 4 at the most left. And you got a young player in Kuminga. I think Miami, if they could do that deal, they jump all over that.
But what's the point of keeping Kuminga if you're not going to play him or if you're going to yank him around like Steve Kerr's done? Like if he doesn't,
or if you're not going to pay him.
Yeah, or if you're not going to pay him. And then like the flip side with Wiggins, though, is I wouldn't want Andrew Wiggins if I got to pay him $30 million this year. I got to pay him 30 next year. I got to pay him 30 after that if he picks up the option. Like I'm not crazy about Andrew Wiggins because to me, he just it's the same reputation he had, when he came into the league. He just floats in and out of games outside of the 2022 title run. I mean, Steph doesn't have a number 2. And that's the other thing is I don't agree with what's going on, Bill, in Phoenix. But at least, I don't think it's going to work. At least they've picked a direction. At least they know what they want to do. Golden State's all right, well, we want to be in with Kuminga for the future, but we want to be, we want to compete right now with Steph. Either go all in or just blow the thing up and start the rebuild. I don't agree with
there's no blow up though. They don't. Kerr is the only real trade asset they have. I don't know what else, what the other move is. They almost got marketed and they almost got Paul George, and they're probably thanking their lucky stars. Neither of those trades happened because they would have given up everything.
They're being fooled right now, I believe. That's what it is. I think they beat Oklahoma City and then all of a sudden they think, oh man, all we need to do is just add something. So they have a conundrum right now. And the only reason they're going to keep winning games like that is because of the coaching of Steve Kerr, because of the greatness of Steph Curry. That's why. So they'll beat good teams. And you'll start to think, oh, okay, maybe we add somebody. I think it's a mistake. I do. I've said that. I think it's a mistake. I know Curry will never give in to being traded, but I just think it's a mistake. I think their run is over with this group. And, but again, I just think that they're going to win some games, man. They're going to beat some teams, and you're going to say, maybe they can do it again because they did it a couple of years ago. So it's not like they don't reach back to something and say, we've done it before. And I think that's part of their problem.
Yeah, but the problem is in 2022 when they did it, the league was completely different. I just don't think the league was nearly as good. There was some injury luck with some teams that went sideways, and they kind of snuck in. They rode Curry, who I think was at a slightly different point in his career too. In 22 versus now. I think that 22 team would not be able to do that in 25 with how deep the league is and how good it is.
I agree.
I'm torn on it because Justin, you remember in the early 90s with the Celts when we had the big 3 and the question was always, how long do we keep these guys? Well, we can't trade. We got to keep these guys together. They won titles for us. And the Celts were able to rebuild on the fly a little bit with Reggie Lewis, who was a godsend. Brian Shaw, D Brown, they had Ed Pinckney, and they had this cool young old thing, and it was pretty good. Like they weren't going to win the title, but they were in the mix. Like they had 2 really good seasons, and then Bird and McHale's health just couldn't hold up. I don't even think the Warriors are close to that level, So if I'm them, it's either a question of, do we owe this to Curry because we're never trading him? So if you feel that way, then you got to do the Butler deal and give up whatever and try to hope that you catch lightning in a bottle with him. Or you got to think about trading Curry, and I just don't think they're going to do it.
I got a question for you. For you, Bill.
Yeah.
So say if Golden State had 2 players in front of them to trade for, Derek White or Devin Booker, who you think they want?
Well, Devin Booker, he's a better basketball player.
Why did I saw something where you had Derek White being a better trade chip?
No, I had Devin Booker in the top 20. He was not. You saw the wrong thing. See, you get fooled by social media.
Well, I just want
to go to your Twitter replies.
Explain to me. Okay, all right.
I had Devin Booker in the top 20.
Of course. Now, back to your other point before Eddie gave you some bad information.
Yeah, it's a classic.
Whoa.
Classic fake news from Eddie.
Muscle nose. Hold up, put the camera back on Justin Termine. How dare you say that? The only reason I brought it up is because somebody told me that's what was said.
That's not what I said. I told you where Devin Booker. No, I didn't. I didn't. I said he was behind Derek White. I might as well have just said Bill's a massive moron.
Said he was behind. You said you were behind him.
I did not tell you that. Muscle nose.
I had him number 16. I did have him behind Jalen Williams and Cade Cunningham. I did have him behind Evan Mobley and Jaren Jackson. I think that's fair.
Jalen Williams, really?
Jalen Williams on a rookie contract. Like, would you rather pay Jalen Williams $9 million a year? That's the whole point of a trade asset.
So it's not about talent.
No, it's about talent. It's about time of their career. It's about the salary. It's all those things. It's basically, you're telling me Phoenix wouldn't rather have Jalen Williams on a rookie contract than Devin Booker for $50 million a year. It would open up. There's no way.
Bill, it's the same exact thing between you and Eddie. Sirius thinks you're more talented, obviously, but you would cost them more money, so they settle for Eddie because he's making a lot less money.
What makes you think that you would be the host and he would be the analyst?
Well, I'm not because I'm a lot cheaper. We're both cheaper. Eddie's laughing at his own joke. Nice job,
Bill,
Eddie.
You see the ego on this crazed animal? Like, he putting you in the analyst seat.
Well, when you're as talented as Termine, you can have an ego.
That's fine. It's the Waterboy show. It's 2 Waterboys.
Exactly.
Wait, on Golden State really quick. Let's say Butler goes back there. Let's say they get a 50 cents, 40 cents of the dollar. Let's say it's just Wiggins, Looney, and Schroeder and some protected pick. And that's a trade. Miami's like, please take him, give him away. And Butler flips the switch like he's done a couple times this year to show everybody he still has it. Does that team intrigue you at all, or is that just
only because
at least
I don't
we'll
think
make the playoffs?
It intrigues me a little bit, but not necessarily just because they're great, just because who in the West is dominant. Like, how much faith do you have in Oklahoma City? As good as they are, we've never seen them win more than one playoff series. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is still like a young guy who, as great as he is, hasn't really given us anything tremendous in the postseason. Is Chet going to be healthy? Teams with size have beat them up. Dallas has their number. The Lakers, I think, aren't as talented. They match up well. So, anything is possible. But I think it's just because of the weakness of the Western Conference. I don't know what you guys think.
Yeah, I think the West is wide open. I do. You got your talent at the top, but I think anything can happen. So that's why I think the teams in the West are going to be aggressive in the following week before the trade deadline to see if they can, get that key player.
And Bill, you touched on this with Goldsberry a couple of weeks ago. I don't like, this topic of like the West being better than the East. That is not the case this year. The Eastern Conference is better because the teams at the top are better. Boston, Cleveland, New York are 3 of the top 4 teams, I think, in the entire NBA. There's 1 in the Western Conference, OKC. So Cleveland, New York, Boston have to go through each other. OKC doesn't have to do that. East is tougher than the West.